I am Yori Folane. It's a wet morning in Lagos, southwest of the country, where we are broadcasting from. Meteorology being what it is, it might be totally different wherever you are joining us from, especially in the diaspora. This morning, let's look at labor matters, and as you know, there's an ongoing negotiation. Should I say ongoing? Because the last time the labor component of the negotiations, walked out of a meeting that was that was organized to look at these matters because labor felt that the federal government was not taking them, or really, from the point of view of labor, was not taking the Nigerian worker seriously enough. That is because they had proposed, that is, the federal government's offer was what, 48,000. 48,000. But since then, the latest is that, well, the federal government has seen fit to, upgrade that a bit. And so here we are at 54,000. It needs to be known that the Nigeria Labour Congress set a figure of 615,000. So you can understand why Labour has the feeling that, look, we say 615,000. You are saying 48,000 in the first instance, and even as it was very, very late, we're now hearing that it is 54,000. So it looks like there's still much work to be done. Well, to look at this with us this morning is a unionist, Comrade Ambali Akim Olatunji. Comrade Alat Olatunji is the President General of the National Union of Local Government Employees, NLC. Good morning to you, comrade.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much for joining us. I don't know, I summarized it in there. So now, against that backdrop, to ask that, well, the federal government has moved forward from 48,000 to 54,000. Does that make a difference to the lie of the ground, so to speak?
Well, thank you very much. We have seen that the government is just starting. Maybe the government is booting. They have not already, they haven't gotten to the level expected of a good employer of labor who made promises of giving living wage to Nigerian workers. Our belief is that government should do what is needful. You can't just, we are not asking for an award. We are asking for national minimum wage that should be properly negotiated. Labor is requesting that we have a minimum wage that can be situated within the current economic indices, in socioeconomic indices and index in Nigeria. In arriving at a reasonable minimum wage, we expected government to be able to look at what is the cost of living index. That is, what is the cost of transportation that can take an average worker to work? What is the cost of feeding? What is the cost of housing? And what is the cost on health? So these are the basic issues that needed to be addressed. But offering a patchy sum of 54,000 is just being unserious on the part of the employer of labor. For example, we believe that for an average family of 6 to feed, it takes 3,000 per day times 3,000 times 30. That is 90,000. If you talk about 90,000 for feeding, even if a worker needs to go to work and spend transportation, we put transportation at 40,000, and we put medicals at 20,000. All this, if government is appealing to labor, you must come out with data to back up what you are offering labor. That's why we have said we have not seen enough seriousness on the part of government, and labor is insisting that whatever government is offered must be broken down. We don't want an envelope presentation. Let's open the envelope. Let us see what is being allocated for feeding of an average worker per month, what is meant for housing of an average worker per month, what is expected to cover the rate of transportation of worker per month, the tariff and electricity. Those are the basic issues that are being discussed. That is why labor rejected 54,000, and we are still looking at government as not being serious in the way they handle the collective bargaining and the negotiation. Thank you.
Well, okay, thank you there. You've just related to what Labour had said that, look, let the federal government, let it give us a breakdown because Comrade Joe Ajaero said that when they had proposed 615,000 naira minimum wage, they had broken it down. And so let government, if it will, break down the 48 or 54,000 naira package that they are proposing, which you are calling an envelope figure. Open up the envelope and let's see how it has been, how the figures are broken down. So I get what you're saying in there. So what is the federal government, allocating in the monthly package of a minimum wage worker to transportation, to feeding, to health, and those kind of things. So government is yet to come back on that, and we'll see how that will go. But along the line, comrade, let me bring up the delicate issue of, it would seem to, not that they don't see how Labour has broken this down, but it would seem that 615,000, where Labour is at now, and by the way, the different state bodies, had come up with their own suggestions, and not all of them went, in fact, none of them went as high as that in their proposals. But most people seem to think that, isn't it overly optimistic to expect that the minimum wage in Nigeria would be in that region of 615,000? Even somebody, it has been denied, but from somewhere it had emerged that Labour was now looking at 100.
Hello?
Hello. So that means that you've lost sound. Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Yes, of course. Loud and clear now.
Okay. So I was saying
Hello?
that I can hear you. Comrade, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, God.
I can hear you. Okay. What did you hear me say, comrade? You might be able to take it from there. What did you hear me say? Okay. Nada. Okay. Comrade, can you hear me? We'll fix this, I'm sure. But for some reason...
Audio is not good.
Oh dear, something is not good.
Hello?
Hello, I can hear you, but
Hello?
we can see the difficulty. We know that you cannot hear us. And I'll tell you what, we'll go to a break because we can't continue without you. So do please stay with us. We'll be right back. Okay, hello again. Indeed, our apologies for that situation there where our guest couldn't hear us remotely. Comrade Ambali Akim Olatunji, President General of National Union of Local Government Employees, NLG. He's at the other end. Thank you very much for your patience, Comrade Ambali. So you had just finished telling me about how the renewed offer of the federal government in the tripartite talks of 54,000 up from 48,000 was not acceptable. This has led to a postponement till today of the continuation of the talks, where it is hoped that the federal government will do better. And we were talking about the backdrop of NLC's offer, NLC's proposal being 615,000 that NLC had said, and you have commented on that, that this figure was arrived at after a sort of a careful examination of the economic indices and the needs of a family, a Nigerian family of 6. So here we are, and I was going to ask you, in fact, I was asking you when it transpired that you couldn't hear us, that how, realistic do you think the figure of 615,000 as the minimum wage really could be? There was talk that, well, maybe the federal government might be able to look at 100,000, but I think word has come from your side that No, 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 no. NLC wasn't even considering 100,000. So it looks like we're looking at 6 times more than that, at a 615,000, which was the figure that was proposed by Comrade Joe Ajero, or the NLC president. So the question would be, how realistic can we really be with 615,000 demand by labor as the minimum wage?
Well, you mentioned the issue of 100,000. That has not been on the table for discussion. What, as at the last count, which was yesterday, government only offered 54,000.
Yes.
Which means government has now adopted the position by organized private sector, the first proposal by organized private sector. And let me also make both to tell you that during the last discussion that led to the workouts of labor, the organized private sector told the meeting that in the organized private sector, nobody has less than 97,000 naira. So because of the pressure, we suspect that because of the pressure of some forces, they now offered that 54,000, which was rejected by labor. And as I yesterday, was not even talking about what you are offering, but break it down. Let us know. We are all Nigerians. How much does it take to feed an average Nigerian per day? How much does it take to go to work from Yanyan, Maraba to Federal Secretariat? How much are we being billed on electricity? Because the principle behind national minimum wage is to ensure that a worker lives a decent life. And so that he will be able to focus on contributing his own or our quota to productivity that will grow the wealth of the nation. So, you know that all these demands came up as a result of removal of fuel subsidy, which has impoverished Nigeria. So, because of these policies of government, there has been a lot of poverty in the land, and all other indices show to reach that workers are one of the worst hit by this economic policy of the present administration. So based on that, we said, okay, break down whatever you are offering. Let us know how much are you saying an average worker should use to feed. How much we are expecting to use to pay rent. This should be the basic fundamentals of how to arrive at a reasonable minimum wage. And again, don't forget that even the global economic policy and index point to it that no human being should live with less than $2 per day. And the $2 rate in Nigeria is around 1,450, 1,500. And that's what about 3,000 per person. Times 6, that is 1,800. That's about 18,000. 1,006, $200, the $2 times 6 is $12. And when you use $12 to calculate times 1,500, you arrive at a figure that is even per day times 30. How much does that relate to? So we have the opinion that an average worker in Nigeria will earn something reasonable. So we believe that government is just starting, just like I said, they are booting. They have not come around to offer something, the concrete, that will convince labor that we are ready to keep national minimum. But the discourse is still ongoing, and we believe that today, government will come out and offer something better. We say that labor is not rigid. Labor can also consider the presentation of government, provided it is logical, it is reasonable, and it can sustain an average Nigerian worker. That is the position of labor.
Okay. I'll quickly take another break. Thank you very much, Comrade. We'll be right back. And Okay, welcome back, Comrade Ambali Akim Olatunji, President General of NLC, is our guest. And he just expressed some optimism there that labor is not necessarily rigid. They just want a logical offer from government. and they don't see 48,000 or the revised offer from the federal government at yesterday's tripartite meeting as coming anywhere close to what he has called a working wage. What did you say? Go ahead, please.
I said, can you be a bit louder? Your voice is not...
Okay, the technical people have heard what you've just said, and we'll sort it out from there. If I were to speak louder, I would be shouting, but it has been noted. Somebody will do what needs to be done for you to hear us. Can you hear us better now?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. So we know what is going on, generally speaking. At the resumed meeting today, you had expressed the hope that the federal government would say something more satisfactory. I was just reading that the deputy president of NLC Political Commission, Professor Ndubuaku, he was telling a newspaper that the federal government was deliberately frustrating Nigerian workers. That's the point of view of that labor man. But no doubt, federal government is looking at it from the point of view of wherewithal to indeed pay that sum. I hear what you've said. In fact, the other interesting thing is that Labour has said that federal government, could you, give us an analysis of how you arrived at this 48,000 with apportionment to all these places? So let me just ask you, sir, I was looking at the plan B. You have a situation, you are not satisfied with what government is offering. The whole purpose of all of this is not to go to the ultimate, which is workers being called out on strike. Surely Labour itself, as I have heard it said, does not enjoy calling people out on strike. But where is the cutoff point in all of this? If we're as far away as we are now, 54,000 to 615,000, the federal government doesn't want Labour to call people out on strike. Labour itself says it doesn't like to call workers out on strike. So how are we going to work it?
Well, it's simple. We don't expect a president that promised Nigerians on the day of his inauguration a living wage for Nigerian workers who deliberately frustrate workers and push them to the wall that will result in industrial action. We don't believe that, and we don't want to be preemptive. Our belief is that in the spirit of collective bargaining, Party A will offer what it thinks it can, the lowest from the bottom. Party B will also offer something that is substantial, that is reasonable. When negotiation continues, when you come out with empirical data to convince the other party and lobby, at the end of the day, there must be a middle way to connect and resolve this thing. And I believe that, it's a tripartite thing. Labour is on exclusive legislative list. The fear of the federal government now does not even need it. It's not needed. Does not arise. Because it's the principle of law that negotiate for all other arms of government, whether state, local, and federal. So our belief is that federal government should also show seriousness, to show courage, should not be threatened by any subnational to arrive at a slave wage. And because workers are the only remaining ones suffering in Nigeria, when you go to the organized private sector now, they have upped their prices of goods and services. When you go to market women, they have also upped their services and goods. When you go to transportation sector, the same thing has happened. So, you know how much they are selling a bag of rice after today. You know how much you are paying on tariff for electricity per day.
Okay, one moment, comrade. I beg your pardon for interrupting you. Just one moment. Let me just tell our viewers that we'll continue with this conversation, but we'll be cutting off to Port Harcourt, where the Rivers Economic Investment Summit is being opened right now. That's
the Chief Judge,
on our
my Lord, Honorable Justice Simeon Chibuzo Amadi,
those in diaspora can
I'd like
continue
to welcome the representative of the Bayelsa State Governor,
who also can
Professor
look at
Nemebofa Ayawe, the Secretary to the Government.
viewing and conversation with Comrade Ambali Akim Olatunji, President General, Norgay Local Government, on NLC rejecting the federal government's minimum wage proposal. So sorry for that interruption, Comrade, just sort of setting viewers right. Terrestrial viewers can continue, in fact, all viewers can continue to catch us on our YouTube channel. And of course, our viewers on, in the diaspora are with us. So sorry, once again, Comrade Ambali. So you were just explaining perhaps the intricacies of all of this and why Labour seems to have to, stick fast to its guns.
What? Hello?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Yes. Our belief is that Labour, we are skilled in collective bargaining and negotiation. Likewise, the other bipartite member, that is the organized private sector and government. So our belief is that today's negotiation government should show good faith, show readiness and courage to arrive at a logical minimum wage that can sustain average Nigerian workers. For us, all other sectors have increased their price of goods and services. The only one that is static is minimum wage. And we can't say Nigeria is not buoyant enough to pay a living wage for our workers. If Ghana can pay better, if South Africa can pay better, I mean, what is needed is to have the political courage to do what is needed. After today, all of us know the way money flies around in the country. If the country is proposing to buy 200 SUV vehicles for custom, country supporting operations, religious operations with billions of naira. Country embarking on some very wonderful projects. You can't tell an average worker you can't pay. And there's a question about those states that refuse to pay. Our stand has been that it is not that they are not buoyant. It is unwillingness to pay, because you need to ask a question. Why is governor of Zamfara and governor of Anambra earning the same salary like governor of Rivers, their counterpart, and Lagos? They are around to continue to impoverish their workers. And you even know the case of Anambra is cause for concern. This was Anambra case that was led by Peter Obi, who did some wonderful projects and still led billions of naira in the cover of Anambra State and paid minimum wage. So when you look at the present government, it shows the unwillingness to pay and the deliberate attempt to break the law. And we must not live in a country like that with high level of impunity. If it is only when it comes to minimum wage of workers that you go to public domain. Why can't we also debate the salary of political office holders to know how much our senators, our House of Reps, governors, and all of them are earning? Why can't we negotiate their own salary? You can't be living in affluence and be asking others to live in poverty. So even when they didn't pay the minimum wage earlier under Buhari administration, they approached the government. Government gave out bailouts to settle salary, gave out budget support, remade Paris fund, refund to them. All of this money was misappropriated, diverted. It shows it's not about inability to pay, but deliberate wickedness and refusal to pay and pray and believe that they can govern with impunity. So Labour is also ready. We are trying to ensure that a living wage is paid to Nigerian workers. That is the position of Labour.
Well, indeed, one understands it, but also well, there's a sense in which I wish government was here to speak for itself, but the bottom line seems to be, and you've referred to that by such terms as wickedness and etc. But I don't need to tell you that government doesn't work like that. But you see, especially when you put together some other indices that such as you have, look at what is being spent on certain other projects in the country. How is the Nigerian worker not at least on the same level of that, if not more important than that? Yet government is not saying, the analogy that I'm getting is not saying that it doesn't have the wherewithal to do the coastal highway, for instance. That has been brought up. The government does not say that it doesn't have the wherewithal to, offer what is a pilgrimage to Saudi Arabia, 90 billion naira pilgrimage. Those kind of things. You yourself have spoken about the SUV vehicles that are being purchased for, some government functionaries. Yes. So it's like whatever government is saying in terms of we don't have the wherewithal to pay that kind of money. Maybe you're saying that also that, well, if government were to show us that we're all in a tight corner, it might have been a bit more palatable. But Labour seems to be getting the impression, is my guess, that it is a tight corner for the Nigerian worker only and not for everybody. Otherwise, these other things would not be done. Is that a fair, summation of the way Labour is feeling about this matter? Because we've heard that this figure just simply is beyond the understanding if people were to know all the indices, if you were to be in government. Otherwise, why will government be proposing 54,000? That's the latest figure now. And Labour says, I hear you, break it down for us. And, Labour itself is saying that we've done an exhaustive study of the issue and 615,000. But also let me point out, sir, you are using foreign currency, the dollar, to sort of give an illustration. But we don't spend dollars here, is probably something. We don't spend dollars here. Dollar is not the national currency. But I understand that what you're saying is you wanted to give us some sort of a comparison. So quite frankly, it's a very delicate tripartite meeting that is going on this morning. I don't really see the end of it, and I guess Nigerians are going to have to wait. But Labour must be positive, I expect, is the hope of everybody. It must be positive in this matter.
Well, let me also correct the impression that we don't spend dollar in Nigeria. You can't run a dollarized economy and you pretend you are not tying your expenditures to dollar. Nigeria is a consuming nation, not a manufacturing nation. Most of those things that Nigerians are consuming, they are imported because deliberately the government has brought in a lot of policies that is killing local manufacturing companies. It is only in this country that we give tax relief, tax holiday, tax exemption to multinationals, and we overtax the small and medium scale enterprise in the country. So everything we talk about, you talk about fuel prices in Nigeria. Are they not imported? Is it not tied to dollar? You talk about electricity. All the parts that are being used to produce electricity, megawatts of electricity, are they not imported? What are we talking about? Why are we pretending? You see, we had an opportunity to have a monetary policy with China, currency swap. We get it in it because we are afraid of some superpowers of the world. So that is the position. And number two, Labour is of the opinion that the perception of the employer of labor in Nigeria is wrong. You don't perceive your worker who grow your wealth, who drive the process of development as slaves. How can you justify people earning over millions of naira salary and you are saying you can't pay 30,000 or 615,000? And let me also say that Labour is not very rigid. We believe that whatever you want to pay, also put it on the table. You are the one that is implementing economic policy. You are the one that is driving the economy. So you are the one that brought some policies that visited or told that chip on Nigeria. When the fuel subsidy was removed, they said we should go and negotiate with. We are here now negotiating with. They have been dining over it. That is why Labour took a decision that unless we ramp up this negotiation before 31st of May, Labour can no longer guarantee industrial peace and harmony in Nigeria. We must be serious. We must address the matter. Enough of paying lip service to all these things. Government must be serious to to handle the basic needs of man, especially the worker.
So the 31st of May is the deadline, as it were, for us in the country to resolve this issue satisfactorily, after which Labour might consider that its hand has been forced.
That's correct. That's correct, because subsidy was removed about 1 year ago. Labour persevered. Nigeria persevered. You are living in abject poverty. You are suffering. You are showing understanding. When they were to remove fuel subsidy, the fuel subsidy is gone. You see the people overnight. All the economic policies in Nigeria, they fail. And we will find ourselves in galloping inflation. As of today, nothing serious has been done. Forex become unstable. Forex rates become unstable. Tariff hike up. Everything hike up in Nigeria. And as of today, there is no way workers can continue. You can't say because we want to serve the country, we have to die. No, it's not possible. As of today, we don't expect we'll see the hair arguing on minimum wage. It will have been resolved by December. So, the seriousness on part of the plan of Labour must be addressed. Labour must also come out to say that in line with other global best practices, Nigerian workers deserve a living wage and we are earning a sustainable wage that can take every Nigerian home. Thank you.
Let me close this. Thank you very much, Comrade Ambali. Let me close this by maybe something of a tough one, asking you what your feel is at where this negotiation, the most satisfactory point on the scale that this negotiation could be for us to avert calling out of a national strike between 54,000 and 615,000. The figure of 100,000 that we were even talking about, you said that even has not even been offered anywhere yet. But on that sliding scale of 54 to 615, I don't know, and Labour, to its, in fairness to Labour, it has sort of broken it down to its component parts. Where do you think might be the absolute minimum at which point Labour will consider that if the government is looking at this whole project seriously? I'm really asking for your opinion, one, being a Nigerian, two, being a Labour leader, and by Nigerian I mean that you understand all the indices that are involved. Where, as a guess, would you think that Labour would say, well, as unsatisfactory as it is, maybe we can go with this for the moment? Is it at the 100,000 naira mark, 150,000 naira mark, 200,000 mark? What is your guess as to where we might sort of be as something of a truce?
Without being preemptive, Labour has not gotten to that level. Government has not offered something reasonable. It is when government offers what is reasonable, break it down, we look at it. What is the percentage increment on what they offer? And average Nigerian worker manage it. That is when we now withdraw as Labour for our own discussion too and come out. But let me also reiterate that Labour will also shift ground.
All right.
If government shows good intent and purpose, come out.
Hello, did I lose you again? Hello?
Of a reasonable national living wage, not slave wage or wage reduction that they are doing. After today, an average worker has around 77,000, 30,000, 12,000 additional by Buhari under 40% increment, and the 35,000 wage award. When you add all that, that's about 77,000 naira for an average federal worker after today. We are not at that meeting to negotiate wage reduction for wage increment. So
You know what? It's been quite a difficult ride today, but thank you very much for coming.